We got rollers, and they're aftermarket cylinder heads too. This engine right here is a Chevy V8 that I bought to put into the 1956 Chevy. Right now we're gonna drag the engine out of this corner and get it up on an engine stand. We need to run the casting numbers, we need to do a little bit of disassembly and see if this engine's a runner or a boat anchor. The thing is I bought the engine from a trusted source that I've known for years, and he said that it will run, but the challenge with that is, well, the engine's been sitting for 15 years, and, well, you know how the whole memory gets, and he suggested do head gaskets, check the compression, it should run though, it should be good. So I'm kind of thinking we should probably pull the oil pan and pull the heads off and just double check everything, because he didn't remember everything exactly either. In fact, when we found the push rods in the lifter valley, he said, "Oh, I don't remember what I was doing there. I don't know why I took those out." I'm 99% sure it's a good engine, but we do need to verify some things. So that's the goal of today. And we gotta get this straight 6 off of this engine stand so that we can get our V8 on there, our Chevy small block. And we couldn't be doing this anymore in the nick of time because this piece of plywood's about to snap. We should probably hurry up. I'll tell you the whole story. I'll give you all the deets on our 350 as soon as we get it on this engine stand. Let's just get this swapperoo knocked out first here. I want to put this engine on the floor right here for now, so we've got everything set up so that we can just pick up, remove the stand, set it down on the tire right here. Everything is done in one shot. Just want to double check that everything's going to work out good here. We're going to be very quick, but we don't want things to, let me reach my back pocket. We don't want things to go north. You know what I'm saying? Prepare for a little bit of possible swingage here. If there's going to be any swingage, it's going to be after this bolt comes out. I think we'll be fine though, but there's only one way to find out. And that's to take the bolt out. Okay, we're good. We are good. You just don't want a lot of surprise swingage when you're dealing with an engine hoist that probably should be put out the pasture to begin with. But you know, safety 5th, right? Isn't that what they say? Or no, is it safety 4th? Well, it could be 5th. Safety get the job done. How about that? Gotta love the curb on the floor in this garage. Happy to have a garage, but man, this thing is annoying. Farm living is the life for me. Going down, loving an elevator. Yeah, yeah. It's hard to make a precise landing when your engine hoist is twisted. I knew you were going to want to tip to the right. I knew it. Now, we'll see how you settle. Oh yeah, we're good. We are good. The eagle has landed. The bird is on the wire. It is time to move on to the V8. What we all came here for. The meat and spuds of the video. We're gonna need this chain. Don't you just love doing this stuff? I mean, is this not the coolest stuff ever? Moving engines around, turning wrenches. I mean, what would you rather be doing? Well, no, bird watching's nice. I like bird watching. We're going to have a lot to talk about and look at and go over with this engine. Trust me, you're going to thoroughly enjoy it. Let's get the 99-cent Wally World ponchos off. The cylinder heads are not torqued down. Some of the bolts are a little loose, but it'll be fine. That's how we moved this engine when we brought it in here. I'm sure we'll be fine. And we just need to hurry up and get it done because I don't like how this engine's leaning. This board's slowly been breaking over weeks, or probably a couple months of sitting here. So I don't want to bump it around a whole bunch because it's probably going to snap any second. I'm not snugging these bolts down tight either. I'm just making sure that we got all the threads we can get. Make sure we're not going to ruin anything. Alright, let's lift this engine up and get it out of the corner. Well, we're not going to be able to get to it in this corner, even if we extend this out all the way. I don't think we will, so stay tuned, folks. Don't head off to the microwave oven right now, because there might be some fireworks coming. Hopefully not. Hopefully no fireworks. If this engine tips over on its side, I'm going to be not a happy camper. Okay, perfect. You know, you'd think you would be able to just attach an engine hoist to an engine and just pick it up and move it around your garage, but it never works that way. You spend a half an hour or an hour just doing stuff like we've been doing just to get set up for what you want to do. But hey, one day if Freeman's garage is operating out of some big shop with fancy doodads and whatnot and upgraded equipment, well, we could probably get a lot more done a lot faster. But for now, we are just, well, just doing what we've been doing our whole life, just getting stuff done the way we can, right? With what we got. I mean, what are you going to do? Lay down and die? This engine was set up with an automatic transmission, and it's still got the flex plate on it. So now that we are supported by the engine hoist and we're not going to tip over, let's break the torque on these flywheel bolts. I'm sorry, flex plate bolts, whatever you want to call them. We got a flex plate on here right now. Let's get this flex plate off, because we're going to want this off to put it on the stand anyways. Oh, well, I feel stupid. I just dug around in my mess of tools on the bench over there and ended up dropping a couple sockets into a pan of used oil. And I get back over here and put my hand on these bolts, and they're not even tight. I didn't even need those tools. Avoid those exhaust fumes, kids. Save those brain cells. But hey, you know, when you're a stuntman living in Hollywood and you're just trying to pay the rent and make your payment on your new square body truck, and stunt jobs are few and far between, and you gotta take up a sideline bounty hunting, you know. I don't know where I'm going with this. I thought I had a punchline lined up in my head, and somewhere along the way it disappeared on me. ARP, quality fasteners. That kind of plays into the story about this engine that I'm going to share with you and the guy that it came from. Alright, flex plate coming off. Well, come on, are you telling me I can't do this with one hand? Okay, maybe I can't. Alright, hold on, I need to pause. Alright, there we go. Flex plate off. It's got the date it was made on it. I'll share that with you in a couple minutes here. I'm going to throw these bolts back in these bolt holes just to keep them from getting dirty. What is stabbing me in the back? Oh. Route 66 sign. Maybe that's an omen to stay off of Route 66. Alright, up we go. Hopefully everything goes smooth. Everything looks fine, but let's not lollygag. Let's just get this thing on the engine stand. I don't trust the hoist. I'm going to write a song called Swingin' Engines. Swingin' Engines. Alrighty, we are ready to officially be on the stand, man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, slide on in there, son. Just the way it's supposed to be. Alright, now we're about to start getting into this engine. Well, as long as the engine doesn't go crash into the floor here in about 2 seconds. Okay, as it's coming down, I'm thinking Is everything tight? Did we tighten all the bolts? Wow. I think we did it. It's funny because I don't know if you've noticed, maybe you'll have to rewind the tape a little bit and go back a little bit earlier in the video. But when the straight 6 engine was on this engine stand, everything was kind of nose diving, you know, kind of, things were bending a little bit. But with a small block on here, the engine's sitting up a lot higher, and it's not as bendy. You know what this makes me wonder? Now, I guarantee you that I have figured this out before. I just don't recall. But what do you think the weight difference is between a small block V8 and a straight 6? Which one do you think is lighter? Which one do you think is heavier? Just say fully dressed. Whatever, doesn't matter. Just put that in the comments if you want, and I'll read the comments and I'll get involved in the conversation. Yeah, I wonder which one's heavier? Which one weighs more? Just think about it, man. We got a Chevy 350 sitting on the engine stand here at Freeman's garage. Now, how friggin' cool is that? It's about gosh darn time. This is the standard, the basic, the staple. Now, if we're not, if we're not talking about the straight 6s, okay, that's your basic, right? But when you're talking V8s, 350, I mean, come on. You know what I'm talking about. There's that truck or car for sale, and you go to look at it, and you get close enough to the for sale sign to see what they wrote on it, and you see it says 305, and you go, oh. But if you see it says 350, then all right, we're talking. We're talking. Let's get this trash bag out of here, and then we'll dive into this engine and find out exactly what we really got, what internal components we have, and if it's if we need to, well, I mean, if it's actually something that we think is going to run. And this trash bag, this is an old trick an old timer taught me long ago. See, the thing is I hauled this in the back of a pickup truck across the country. So what I did is I laid a trash bag down over the lifter valley, and then I set the intake on top, and then just threw 4 bolts in, and that helps keep water from getting inside the engine. And I did wrap this in a big, thick, heavy-duty bag as well, the entire engine. But I also had this in there just for extra protection, and it did get poured on, so I'm glad that all this was here. Jeez Louise, I just have never been able to get over how gosh darn heavy these stock intakes are. Alright, for funsies, let's get rid of the bag, and then we will set the intake manifold back on and restart from there. Just for funsies. Golly. It's so gosh darn heavy. Alright, so I'll share with you the story on this engine and how it came to be in possession of Freeman's garage, and then we will start taking things apart here. So I got this engine from an older guy that I've known for at least 20 years, and he's had this engine sitting around for about 15 years, which is why the memory's a little foggy on it, because he has a 1986 Chevy K10, which is a four-wheel drive half-ton pickup. And I think he was driving it in the 90s. I think he's had it that long. And about 15 years ago, he took this engine out of it. And this is his story. He took this, well, and I witnessed some of it, but he took this engine out. This is supposed to be the original 1986 Chevy K10 engine out of that truck. And there's nothing wrong with this engine. He just wanted to put a crate motor in the truck. So he took this out and set it aside. It's been sitting for about 15 years. And then we end up buying it. We as in, well, you and I, Freeman's Garage. We end up buying it from him. He said it should run. There's no reason not to believe him. It's not even a factor here. He just said that he would do head gaskets, just do head gaskets and check compression, but it should be good to go. I have seen under the sheets just a little bit. Obviously, you know, I put that trash bag under the intake. And another note is this engine was sitting for about 15 years in his garage, but the intake manifold wasn't on it. He had an aftermarket aluminum intake manifold on. He took that off when it didn't come with the engine. He kept that. And then we dug this manifold out of a shed, and he said it's the original that goes with this engine. Now, the two center bolts that fasten the valve covers down, I don't know where those are. Well, they might be sitting down in here with the push rods. But that's the story, and that's also why we need to look at this before we just try to put it in the car and run it. So let's get the intake off. We'll take the valve covers off. We will take the cylinder heads off. We'll drop the oil pan. So let's start doing that so we can confirm all the details on it, and I can get the right gaskets and whatnot if we are sure that this is going to be a runner. And then in a future video, we will gasket this thing up and we'll clean it, paint it, and prep it for installation in the car. So let's pull the intake manifold back off. Hold on a second here. I'm starting to notice some things about this engine, and a flood of thoughts are coming into my head that need to be unpacked. I told you that he had an aftermarket intake on this engine, and he took it off and he sold the engine to me. What I didn't mention is there were also a set of headers bolted to the engine, and he wanted to keep those two, which he did, okay? And we have found aftermarket ARP hardware, and I see more here. These head bolts are all ARP. You're looking at, I think, around 90 bucks for a set of ARP hardware to do cylinder head. In today's prices, remember this was done 15-ish years ago, but I'm looking at all of this and thinking about it, and he's the type of guy that, you know, buys nice parts and pieces. So this is all kind of making sense, but then I'm looking at the cylinder heads. I think these are aftermarket cylinder heads, aren't they? And now that I'm looking at the oil pan, does that oil pan look a little deep? Could that be an aftermarket oil pan, maybe a windage tray, some goodies in there? This could be, this might even be a 350 bored out to a 355 or something. He might have rebuilt this engine and packed it full of aftermarket parts. And he's the type of guy that would pull a perfectly good engine, even loaded with goodies, out of something just to put a crate motor or something different in the vehicle, you know, just for fun. I wonder, did he spend $5 grand or something building this engine 1500 years ago, 15 years ago, and he forgot all about that, and then he sells it to me for next to nothing? Is that what's going on here? I don't want to keep talking. I want to rip everything off the top end of this motor here and see what we have, and see if it's been bored out and all that stuff. Never know, could have been overboard. But I think it's important to point a couple other things out that I'm noticing here, that I'm thinking about. There's something that I find very interesting here, and we're gonna run the casting number on this block in a minute here. But I'm noticing that, oh, by the way, looks like a one-piece oil pan gasket. Love it. So this engine came out of the 86 K10. Now the only engine that it could be would be a 350, because I don't think a 305 was even available in that. But here's the thing. In 1986, at some point in 86, 87-ish, or I believe 86, the rear main seal switched from a two-piece to a one-piece. Now this is a one-piece, so this is when they switched to the one-piece. So this could be an 87 motor or a late 86, I'm thinking. See, it's got this piece on here. That's how you know that it's a one-piece seal. And then another thing that's interesting is these center bolt valve covers. Now, this can be a huge topic of debate. Nobody agrees on all this stuff. People argue over this stuff. Some people say that in 86, they started using cylinder heads with the center bolt valve covers. Some people say no, in 87 they switched. Well, I'm wondering if these could just be aftermarket heads with the center bolt valve covers, but this could also be a how do I say it? This might be an engine that went into the 87 model trucks, but the 86 that it left the factory in was a really late 86. And they stuffed it in there. And in 1987, the factory started running roller lifters in these engines. So if we take this valve cover off and we got rollers in here, we got rollers, we got center bolt valve covers, and we got one-piece rear main seal. Is this actually an 1987 engine, or was it an 87 engine put in an 86 truck at the factory? I don't know. But let's take this valve cover off. We got rollers, and they're aftermarket cylinder heads too. Look at how clean everything is too. Very clean. Aftermarket cylinder heads. They're world heads, world products. And if there's... Okay, that's the casting number. Well, these are the Well, they're the World Products SR heads. So yeah, they're definitely aftermarket heads, and I know somewhere around 2005-ish or something, they switched from the part number. They switched from casting it into the end of the cylinder head to engraving it. Does that look like engraving or casting to you? But I mean, that all lines up. If that looks like it's engraved, so that would line up. It would put these cylinder heads in the zone where around the time the engine came out of the truck, or he was, you know, he was doing things with the truck and he was driving it. So that all makes sense. But these cylinder heads today, I'm not sure exactly which ones these are, but I've seen them in the catalog, and they're either $500, five something a piece, or they're $800 some dollars a piece. We'd have to look that up. But that's pretty wild. These could be, now, I don't do a lot of aftermarket stuff. I'm a pretty, you know, original guy. But if I just made a guess, I'd say these are probably supposed to be 30 horsepower over stock or something like that. That's probably what the catalog says. I hope when we take the oil pan off, it's as clean and spotless as it is up on the top end here. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it will be. Now, we'll take the oil pan off and it'll just be full of rust. Alright, let's see what's under door number 2. This is the same casting number. India TAC 052. ARP hardware, everything's very clean. Umbrella seals. Alright, let's get this intake manifold off, check things out, and then let's get the cylinder heads off and look at the cylinders. We gotta spice things up a little bit. This has been a real fun video so far, but it also feels like it's moving slow, you know, like those scenes in the heat of the night where they just stand in an office and talk for what feels like 15 minutes. Yeah, those scenes. I hope I'm not dropping dirt in here. There's all the push rods, which we knew were in there. And on the China walls, note that he did not use the little gaskets, the rubber gaskets that you can lay down on here. He actually used a sealant. That's how you know this guy knew what he was doing. He didn't put he didn't use those gaskets you lay down on here, and it seems like 9 times out of 10 they leak on you. They move when you get a leak, a massive leak on the back of the engine here, and everything's just a disaster. Everything is just so clean. Now, we do not have roller lifters. So we've got roller rockers, but we do not have roller lifters. And so I'm assuming that we do not have a roller cam. I'm sure we've got a flat tappet set up here. And I can see by the shape of, I think I can see a lobe on the camshaft. And it doesn't look like a roller cam. I don't know why it would be. And we'll take the timing cover off and see if we got a good timing, see if the chain's good, make sure that the gear's not broke and the timing hasn't jumped or anything. And we'll also be able to tell if there's an aftermarket camshaft as well when we take that cover off. So let's get these cylinder heads off. We'll start with this one here. And we will Find out if you've got aftermarket pistons. We'll find out if we're overboard. Because yeah, at this point, we don't know what our displacement is, but I guarantee it's a 350, and it might have been overboard. So we'll find out here in just a few seconds. This is pretty cool because we still get to see what's inside the oil pan. Is it 2-bolt main, 4-bolt main? And you know, when I throw some information out, such as the rear main seal switched from 2-piece to 1-piece at sometime in '86, or you know, that stuff is really hard. You know, there's some things that's really hard to say, because you can find many sources that will say that 1986, 1-piece seal, 86 and on. And you can find plenty of information out there that says, well, mid-86, they switch, so if you got, you know, if your engine's an 86, if it's an early 86, it's gonna have the 2-piece. If it's a late 86, it's gonna have the 1-piece. And then you'll find, you can, if you, on the internet, you can find old threads on forums where people chit-chat back and forth about cars. You can find threads going back 10 years, 10 plus years, up to current, of people just fighting over this stuff. No, you idiot! There's no such thing as a 1-piece or a 2-piece. It's a 4-piece. And I say all this to invite you to comment on all this type of stuff in the comments. You know, if you're just a casual observer and you don't work on engines or cars and never have, you just like watching this kind of stuff, no, I mean, you know, then just stay out of it. You know, don't leave a comment if you don't want. But if you want to share your knowledge, or you want to correct something, go for it. Here at Freeman's Garage, we have an open door policy. Alright, one more bolt, and I am unprepared because there is nowhere, you know, there's nowhere at table height to set these cylinder heads, so piece of cardboard. I'm going to see if we can do this without a pry bar. Okay, yeah, that makes sense with the bolts loose. He did have the cylinder heads off. So, yeah, here we go. Oh, what? We got one left here? I don't think so. What are we jamming on here, man? I think I just need to stop being a Sheila. There we go. How's it look? Ooh. Ugh. Not as clean as I was expecting in the cylinders. We'll get this cylinder head off, and then we will inspect and have a powwow. No ring ridge at all, I can tell you that though. 0. That's good. These are ARP studs as well, just noticing that. Alright, let's pop this one off, and then we will look in the cylinders together. Okay, I gotta stop being a little girl. Get those heads off, man. If Arnold was here, what would he say? He'd say, Stop being the girly man. How's our valves look? We got your standard carbon from combusting fossil fuels. And we got a light coat of surface rust in this cylinder here, that one as well. And that one just in the, you know, the region of the cylinder that's exposed. And on this side, that cylinder is spotless. And this is cleaner over here. And then there's a layer of surface rust here. This cylinder's spotless, and I can see real good cross hatching in here. And there's not the slightest hint of ring ridge at all. That is perfect. I would rather not see the surface rust in these cylinders, but it's very light and it's just from sitting for years. Think about the engines that we've gotten running here in Freeman's garage that sat for many decades. Just imagine how much rust and junk was built up inside those cylinders, and those were just fine. So I have absolutely zero issue with cleaning up the surface rust that we can see and running the engine. I don't see any issue with that at all. It's not an airplane engine. We're not leaving the ground. That's probably gonna fall off. I'm gonna see if I can get this part number off of this piston here and find it in the catalog. Try to find out what pistons we have. Aha! Speed Pro flat top, hyper eutectic, 40 over piston. This block's been overboard 40 thousandths. So this is a 350 overboard 40 thousandths, so that lands us somewhere between 355 and 360 cubic inches. Probably 357 or 358. Sweet. That's cool. We got a rebuilt engine. Alright, the casting number on the engine block, I need to remember this. That looks like, is that not 1409368? 1409368. Alright, I'm going to go to the public library. I'll be right back. 149093668. 149093668. 149093668. 149093668. 149093668. One source says 1986 to 1994 352 or 4-bolt main, and about a half a dozen other sources say the same thing, except for they all say 1987 to 1995. That kind of brings us around full circle, because I'm telling you, I swear up and down, this gentleman says that his truck is an 86 and this is an 86 engine. But here's the crazy thing, is that who knows what in the world they were doing in those factories. Who knows what the heck was going on. It could be an 86 truck and they ran out of 86 engines, because 86 going into 87 was that transition for the engines. They could have just, boss, we're running, we just ran out of the old engines, but we still got 886 model trucks to build. Yeah, just start throwing the 87 engines at them. Just don't say anything. Don't say anything to the dealerships. Nobody's gonna care anyways. People are gonna come buy these trucks. The salespeople don't know what they're talking about anyways. I don't know, who knows. Let's get this timing cover off. See if we got a good or a bad timing set. And then we can pull the oil pan, find out if it's an aftermarket pan or what aftermarket goodies are in there. You know, I could save a lot of time if I used power tools to just zip fasteners like this off. But, you know Freeman. I lean towards the older ways. I store jars of lard. I prep pemmican to make it through the winter. I really don't want to take this off because it looks like it's not a leaker. But we gotta figure out what's going on in here. We gotta check the condition of our condition. You know how it is. Sometimes you gotta see what condition your condition is in. Double roller timing chain. I can see that from here. Well, come on, I'm trying to get this off without ruining the one-piece oil pan gasket. Well, this is an unexpected and welcome surprise. A factory GM timing set, double roller. That is awesome. He must have ordered this from the dealership, because this did not come factory like that. Would have been single and no nylon gear, all steel. Looks like it might have been made, this timing set might have been made in 1999. You never know, this could be a one-of-one mess-up mistake at the plant. A one-of-one engine truck combination that's worth $1 million. And by the way, I'm hoping that I will get an option to purchase the truck that this engine came out of. One day I hope I get that option, and if I do, this is going to come out of that car, whatever it's in at that time. Could be years, and this engine will be reunited with it, because I really want to put a 265 in that car anyways. So, but we're just using the 350 for now. We got a good timing chain here. All right, let's get this oil pan off. I really want to see what's going on in there. And I suppose we should wipe some of this oil off. Maybe we should, I'm sure there's no oil in the pan, but let's pull the plug anyways, just in case. Here's the socket I dropped earlier. Isn't that cute? There's quite possibly, well, I'm sure there's going to be some residual hazardous material in here. Hopefully it's not full. I'm betting on it not being full. If it is, it's probably going to knock this oil pan right out of my hand. And that's going to be horrible. Okay. That's exactly what I thought was going to happen. How should we do the reveal? Should we take the pan off like this? Or should we turn the engine upside down and then take the pan off? Maybe we'll do that, because we're going to turn it upside down anyways. Yeah, let's just turn it upside down. Right now. It's a good song. Right now. Oh. Oh, I didn't think about that. Oh, stupid, stupid, stupid. I don't want to mix up where they came out from. Man, why did I do that? I guess maybe I'm just so used to engines where where the lifters don't move very freely. Oh, that was stupid. That was one of the dumbest things I've done in a long time. The lifters are worn to their respective cam lobes, and yeah, gosh darn it, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it was only on this side. 5 of them fell out. Okay, I see 5 on the floor. How should I do this? That one's, this one's the furthest one back, and then this one, and then that one, and then that one, and then that one. Should I just do that? Ah, boy, this really chaps my hide. Why did I even ask you? You know, I knew you wouldn't say anything. I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. Boy, that really just irks me, you know? It just drives me up a wall. Why did I have to do that? Because now we're probably just gonna have to guess where those fell out from. Let me position myself more appropriately. Why do I do what I do, what I do, when I do what I do? Okay. 2 or 4 bolt main. I'm not looking at, boy, that is clean. I'm not looking at the mains yet because I am focused on this gasket and pan. Let's let that hang. Look at this. That is clean, sir. I mean, there's a little bit down in the something, but I mean, it's an engine. You're not going to have 0 of that. Oh, made in Canada. Our friendly neighbors to the north. All right, let's look under here together. Do we have a 2-bolt main or a 4-bolt main? And we got a 4-bolt main. Nice. Pretty cool. 4-bolt main. Boy, that sure is just clean as a whistle. Look at how clean that is. That's how it's supposed to look. Definitely been rebuilt. And the surface rust in the cylinders is only on the top side of the pistons. Remember, the cylinder heads were sitting loose with no gasket, so moisture could definitely get in there, which that's a lesson for storage to help reduce the chance of that happening. Because down under here where everything was sealed, it's rust-free. I'm actually just going to go ahead and put this oil pan back on and throw some bolts in it because I want to keep dust and dirt out of the bottom side of this engine. I'm just really bummed out about these lifters. Why, man? But this one that did not make it, well, 4 out of the 5 are in the oil pan. This one was not in the oil pan. This one is on the floor. So I think it has to be the one that came out of the front of the engine. I couldn't see any other way. So it's got to be the one from the very front. And you know what? These lifters, or this one anyways, I'm sure they're all the same condition, but they look. This makes me feel a little bit better about if we get these mixed up, which I hope not, but these look brand new. Like, hope you can see that. Like it doesn't even look like the engine was ran. It really doesn't. I'm serious. There's not even it's not even a mark on it. I should ask him what kind of oil he uses. That's incredible. Well, which one do you think came out of which hole? Yeah, it's a good thing we're gonna be taking these apart anyways. We're gonna clean the inside out of them anyways, so it's not that big of a deal. We're getting this mixed used oil in here. There's oil from 3 different vehicles in this pan, all mixed together. Golly! Look at this lifter. It looks like it's never, mated with a camshaft lobe. Or it's got very low miles on it. So this one was all the way towards the back of the oil pan. So there's a really good chance it came out of here. Now let's say it actually came out of here. Would we be doing any harm? I mean, that looks like it was never even used. I mean, you've seen her in Freeman's garage that we have used lifters that need to go in the dumpster, and engines have ran just fine. I have no choice but to just guess. So I'm just going to make my best guess. There's nothing else I can do. Well, this is the moment where I have to ask you to subscribe to Freeman's Garage and the Freeman's Garage Extra channel, because this is the last one I'm putting it in. Because that way you will have done everything possible to help the new videos be put in front of you every time they come out, because this moment is a moment to remember, because it might come back to bite us in 6 months or 3 months. I don't know, we'll find out if we wipe a cam. I don't think we will though. Well, what did we learn here? What did we get out of this? Well, I think we learned that we have an extremely rare and valuable engine that was put in a year model vehicle it wasn't supposed to. Well, that part's probably not true. But we have a 1986 or 87. I'm going with it's an 87 motor that was put in an 86 truck. And actually, you know what? I should reach out to this gentleman and ask him again what year that truck is. You might say 87, who knows? I swear it's an 86 though. So I think we got an 87 motor and an 86 truck. I think that was just a luck of the draw. Whoever bought that brand new at the dealership, whether they knew it or not, they got the new motor in their 86. So they really got a big bang for their buck. And also I think that we've got a engine that was rebuilt and bored 40 over, so we've got more than 350 cubic inches, and I think there were some quality components. Well, we know that we looked at them. There's quality components, the aftermarket cylinder heads, the aftermarket pistons and whatnot, and who knows what camshaft is in it. And I don't think there was a lot of miles put on it. I think it's a low mile, high quality rebuild. So other than a possible disaster with the lifters, which I don't think that's going to happen, and that's impossible, I don't know, with the surface rust in here, but I don't think that's going to be an issue because we've dealt with engines and cylinders that look like they came out of the Titanic, as old as that joke is, and we've done just fine. So the surface rust in, well, it's it's 4 of the cylinders have some surface rust. That's not a big deal at all, and remember it's not below the piston either, so we can just clean that up. And as far as the bottom end of the engine goes, we are not touching anything under there. It's, you know, I pretty much knew this engine was going to be good to go before we even started this whole thing here. But I had no clue about, well, everything we discovered that I was surprised about. I had no clue about any of that, so that was good. So I think the next time that we play with this engine, what we're gonna do, well, I guess we'll clean it up and we'll do gaskets and torque the cylinder heads down, and but we need to decide what intake though. All right, we just decided that. That's the plan. The next time we work on with this engine, we're gonna clean it, paint it, do gaskets, get it all ready to go to drop in the car, but we do need to decide on what intake manifold are we going to run, because, oh, I didn't even tell you this yet. I was originally thinking about running the factory intake that we took off. That's a factory spreadboard intake. I was thinking about just running that and running just a factory quadrajet and factory cast iron exhaust manifolds just for start skis. You know, just to see how things go, and that way we could get used to that in the 56 Chevy here, and then do headers, aluminum intake manifold, and aftermarket carburetor and all that stuff, and see what kind of, you know, how it, you know, the feel and the seat of the pants changes. But now that we know that this engine was rebuilt and hopped up a little bit, you know, some of the standard Chevy 350 hop-up treatment items And remember, he had headers and he had the intake, aftermarket intake and stuff on it too. So that all makes sense. So why would we put the stock intake and stock in a quadrajet on there? Why would we do that? That wouldn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying, man? But anyways, I'm gonna clean this mess up, cover this engine up. When you go to sleep tonight, think about what intake and carburetor and headers we should run, which we don't even need to have that stuff before, you know, the engine can go in the car before even, you know, doing an intake and all that. But yeah, up on your screen is something I'm sending you to watch next, and I appreciate you hanging out, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh man, why did I drop those lifters?